Have you ever wanted to dive deeper into the horror movies you love? Beyond the Blood is a horror podcast for fans who want more than just surface level screams. We do deep dives into the movies that shaped us, digging into director commentaries, behind the scenes stories, deleted scenes, and the special features that most people skip. Each episode is a love letter to the genre. We break down how these films were made, the creative risks that paid off or didn't, and the lasting impact they've had on the genre as a whole. From 70s slashers to modern nightmares, we celebrate the craft, chaos, and characters that keep us coming back. If you're the kind of fan who rewatches movies with the commentary on, or you simply grew up in the video store horror aisle, the Beyond the Blood podcast was made for you. New episodes every single week. Subscribe, and let's dig deep. Welcome to the Beyond the Blood podcast.
We made this.
Hi there, I'm Chris Statue.
And I'm Jess Bourdain.
And we are the hosts of The One Season Show, a podcast where we take a look at TV shows that only lasted one season from start to finish. So what are we talking about now that we're not talking about Werewolf anymore?
Well, Chris, we are talking about Fox's Kitchen Confidential. Because Fox doesn't like to keep the shows that it picks.
But to be fair, this show ran for way less.
Yes, way fewer amount of episodes, thankfully.
Well,
I don't know.
Well, okay.
I mean, I guess it depends on how we go along here. But at the beginning of Werewolf, I was all excited about it, and then 20-some episodes in, I was like, okay, kill me now.
Yeah, I want to die. Please put me down. So before we talk about the pilot episode, Exile on Main Street, we're going to talk kind of about the show Kitchen Confidential. So it aired in 2005, but funny story, it aired September 19th, 2005, and then it was taken off of the air because of Major League Baseball playoffs, and then it was put back on the air in November or December after the playoffs were over, and then they only aired one more episode, so 4 episodes aired, and then they canceled the show.
Wow.
So Fox went...
Because of baseball.
Yeah, because of baseball. So it went 1, 2, 3, month-long hiatus, 4th episode, 4 days later, canceled. Fuck off, Fox. Thank you. I mean, as a creator, that must have sucked. That really must have sucked.
Because they'd already filmed, 13 episodes?
13 episodes, so...
And only 4 of them saw the light of day.
Right. So the DVD ended up coming out 2 years later in 2007. So you mentioned... I mentioned on the last podcast, I had an interesting kind of anecdote about that thing where, 13 episodes, but only 4 were aired. In one of the later episodes, Teddy takes off. The character of Teddy is replaced by another character named Chet, played by Matt Winston, son of Stan Winston. And I got a chance a couple years back to kind of strike up a friendship with him when I did an interview for a movie he was in. And I remember telling him, hey, I really liked you in Kitchen Confidential. And his response was, wait, how did you even see that? That episode never aired. And I said, well, it was on the DVD that ended up coming out. So, yeah, there are 9 episodes of this show that never saw the light of day, but are on the box set, the 2-disc set, the complete series that came out in 2007. But the show focuses on Bradley Cooper playing Jack Bourdain. Now, Bourdain, that might sound like a familiar nickname or last name to you because this show is based off of the show... Not the show, but the book, Kitchen Confidential, Adventures in the Culinary Underbelly, written by Anthony Bourdain, who passed away a couple years ago. Anthony Bourdain of No Reservations fame. I'm sure you've seen No Reservations before, right?
Yes, I have.
Yeah. So, everybody knows who Anthony Bourdain is, but, nobody knows that this show exists or existed.
Yeah, no, I mean, I didn't. It was on Fox. When did it air?
2005. We would have both been 15.
Yeah, so I was in high school. We were in high school. Yeah, I had absolutely no recollection of the show, and I guess my mom wasn't watching it either. So, I mean, if it only aired for 4 episodes, nobody was really able to watch it. Really. I mean, especially then, it's not like, DVR and everything wasn't as accessible as it is now. So there wasn't even any like, oh, well, I'm going to watch the baseball game now and then I'll watch Kitchen Confidential later. Like, it was like, no, I'm just going to watch baseball.
And it was only averaging 4 million viewers for 3 episodes.
Yeah, that's not a lot.
No, that's bad. And then the 4th episode got 3.38 million viewers. So that's not good. But the show, like I mentioned, Bradley Cooper plays Jack Bourdain, and it's an ensemble cast of characters. So you've got Nicholas Brendon and John Cho, I think at the time had to have been the biggest cast members, because Nicholas Brendon was just coming off of Buffy in 2003. John Francis Daley at the time was not John Francis Daley now, writer, director John Francis Daley, who wrote Spider-Man Homecoming, and has been in all kinds of things. John Francis Daley of like 100 and some episodes of Bones, John Francis Daley. Jamie King's always been just kind of a very reliable character actress. Bonnie Somerville, I've not seen her in anything else other than this show.
No, she just kind of has a similar look to a lot of female actresses that were on sitcoms and in 2005. General public. Yeah, basically.
And Owen Yeoman, who around this time, I want to say it was within a couple years of this, 3 years of this, he played the T-888 in Terminator Sarah Connor Chronicles.
But I mean, Frank Langella is a huge star.
Yeah, but for people
Dracula?
in 2000, yeah. Well, Frank Langella, in my opinion, is the biggest person in this show at the time. But for mainstream notoriety, he's also not really a main character. He's kind of like a secondary character.
True.
But now, I mean, looking back on it, Bradley Cooper is Oscar-nominated director, MCU starring Bradley Cooper. So he is blown up big time. In 2005 is when he was in
on a show that aired 4 episodes and then got canceled to Oscar, like you said, Oscar-nominated
Lady Gaga movie where he sings, and it's a remake, but he directed it, so gotta give him credit. And I mean, in 2005 is when he was in the first thing I remember seeing him in, because I didn't see the show when it was on the air. I saw it after the fact. After I read the book Kitchen Confidential, he was in Wedding Crashers, where he played the antagonistic character in that film, which I don't know your thoughts on that movie.
I've never seen that movie.
I can't speak to whether or not you'd like it. I think it's funny, but it also has it's also very much this was a time and place where this kind of stuff was funny, and it's like 40-Year-Old Virgin. 40-Year-Old Virgin hasn't aged particularly well. Wedding Crashers, I don't know, Vince Vaughn, Owen Wilson together, whenever they're together, I don't know. They always seem to have pretty good chemistry, but he was in that, so that was kind of his big first role. So he's an unknown at this point. I mean, you could see Bradley Cooper in episodes of Inside the Actor's Studio, where he's in the audience taking notes. That's
just adorable.
Bradley Cooper taking notes and listening to Al Pacino talking about his favorite roles. And now it's Bradley Cooper's Al Pacino, who? Fuck that guy. Digitally de-aged Al Pacino. And the thing about the show is, like I said before we get into the show proper, it draws, because I've read the book. I love the book. I think the book is great. It draws from the book, but not a lot. There's certain little kind of anecdotal stories from the book that get translated into the show. Adam the bread guy is in a later episode. The hot pan incident is in the later episode, one of the later episodes. But it's pretty much just the setup of a burnout, addicted, ex-addict, drug addict chef, smart-ass, very talented chef is given it a second chance. And that's a pretty... I would say that's a pretty, stock and trade story for a sitcom or a movie. So it's pretty straightforward. This is not Werewolf where it's going to have twists and turns. I can tell you that much. This is not Werewolf, folks. So let's just get to the first episode of the show.
I've been moving since 9 o'clock, but life is on the cutting block. I face things, it's time to move. I've gotta get my life into. Hey, yeah, look at my
Exile on Main Street. So the show is created by David Hemingson. He's worked on a couple things recently. I think he worked on the show that was like a spin-off of... Is it a spin-off of Blacklist? Well, maybe not. Maybe it just has the guy from Scandal in it. I don't watch Scandal. I did watch Scandal.
I don't watch either of those shows.
I watched Scandal because my wife watched it. I was minorly invested only because I was like, this shit's on in the background. I probably should somewhat pay attention. But it does have Darren Starr's name attached to it. Darren Starr has created such shows as Beverly Hills 90210, Melrose Place. The thing that they were using to kind of punch this up was Sex and the City. So, not Sex in the City. That's not what it's called. It's Sex and the City. But that was kind of the thing that they had attached to this show, was like, it's from the guy of Sex and the City. So this first episode, the first two episodes are actually directed by Darren Starr. They're written by David Hemingson. Only talking about the first one. So let's get right into it with Exile on Main Street. So directed by Darren Starr, written by David Hemingson. Let's just get the main cast out of the way, because there's a lot of people.
Yeah, there are.
There's just an ensemble cast in the most basic definition. Bradley Cooper plays Jack Bourdain. Nicholas Brendan plays Seth Richmond, who's a pastry chef. John Francis Daly plays Jim, a Mormon sous chef. Jamie King plays Tanya, who's the hostess. Bonnie Somerville plays the daughter of Frank Langella. Owen Yeoman plays the sous chef. Stephen, who's like a British thief / womanizer / all-around dickhead. John Cho is in this, which is fun. I mean, John Cho has kind of had a resurgence in his career recently with, I don't remember what that movie is called that came out either this year or last year, where he's like trying to find his daughter. Do you know what I'm talking about? Did you see that?
I didn't see it, but I know what you mean. I
didn't see it because it looked like Unfriended.
Oh, yeah, it was, shit.
Searching?
It's gonna bother me now. Searching or something like that?
Searching, yeah. So he's in it as like the seafood chef, and then Frank Langella, like you mentioned, plays the owner. So the first episode is kind of meeting the Jack Bourdain character. He is working at a like children's pizza restaurant, and his girlfriend puts his resume in. He gets hired by Pino, who brings him in to run his restaurant, and then he has like a getting the gang back together montage, and you kind of find out more about his character. We'll talk more about the plot as we talk about the episode, but I am so curious. So curious. Jess, what did you think of this first episode of the show?
So when I was... You picked this show, and...
Hello and welcome to Tumbleweeds and TV Cowboys. My name is Hunter. In this podcast, I'll be joined by a different guest each week to discuss a classic Western movie or TV show. I've been a fan of classic Westerns for as long as I can remember, and in recent years, they've become very nostalgic for me. I love the aesthetic, the tropes, and I love seeing different filmmakers' takes on them. At their best, they're incredibly entertaining, rewatchable, and some of my all-time favorite movies are Westerns. We'll mostly focus on Western movies made in Hollywood, but we'll also be covering spaghetti Westerns, and one thing I'm very excited to get into are Western TV shows. I've got some amazing guests coming on the show, film professors, historians, and podcasters, and Tumbleweeds and TV Cowboys is part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network, and many guests on the show will be from other shows on the network. Thanks for listening.
I would be quite honest and say that if you had not picked this show and this, podcast didn't exist and whatever, I probably would have never watched this show, just because it's not something that's in my general realm of, interest. It's not generally what I'm drawn to, but I did enjoy it. I enjoyed it much more than I thought I was going to. I think probably because it doesn't really necessarily feel like a Fox show. It does kind of feel like it should have been on, like a Showtime or an HBO if it had a little bit more of an edge than it does. And I think maybe that kind of hurt it too. I mean, obviously the main thing that hurt it is just bad timing with baseball. But I think that maybe the audience on Fox Network, at that time wasn't ideal for it. But I enjoy all the characters. And like you said, it's a big cast. And honestly, all of them are really fun and interesting to follow. I was wondering what kind of setup this show was going to be. If it was going to follow sort of like a through story, which it obviously appears it's going to be. Or if it was just going to be kind of different setups each time. I didn't know if it was more sitcom based or not. It's not, which I'm happy for, because that just kind of
There's too many of that.
There's too many of that, and it's just redundant. And I think it would have been weird for these kind of characters. I mean, like you said, he is an addict. He's a recovering addict. And, you know, he and the other guys that he works for clearly have, you know, issues with relationships in their lives and, you know, bad pasts to go around. But I think that if it had been, you know, a standard sort of Fox comedy, it wouldn't have worked as well as it does, especially in this first episode, bringing all these characters together. I think they all blend really well. And I think, you know, it was kind of cheesy with the whole getting the band back together, which is also kind of funny to me, just the idea of, because I know that it's a huge world, and I know that it, you know, it has all of its intricacies and nuances and everything, but the cooking world is so foreign to me. Like, I just don't, you know, I've worked in kitchens at, you know, your basic shitty chain restaurants, but I've never worked in, like, a restaurant setting with a real chef.
Cuisine.
Yes, exactly. With, like, that hierarchy of kitchen staff where it's, you know, fucking really serious about food.
When they have a chef who only cooks seafood.
Yeah, I know that they have. Yeah, exactly. Like, that's his own. Nope, that's all I do, or just pastry, whatever. It's such a fascinating world, and I think that this is, like, so far, it's a really good bridge into it for people who, you know, like me, aren't necessarily. I don't really watch cooking shows. I don't. You know, I enjoy food. I enjoy fancy food, and if I could cook it and had the patience to do it, or the, you know, kitchen to do it in, then cool. But it's not something that's, you know, I have a lot of other interests that I'm pursuing. So this is kind of, you know, it's a fun peek window into a world that I wouldn't generally be interested in.
So that was what drew me to Anthony Bourdain, was in high school. I still get that wild hair every now and then, but I'm like, man, I feel like I know how to cook. I feel like I know my way around a kitchen. I feel like, I mean, most everything, and I've told you this, most everything I watch on YouTube is cooking videos, mostly from the Bon Appetit Test Kitchen, which, if you've never seen those, pause this and go watch those and then come back to this. No, I'm just kidding. But go and watch those Bon Appetit videos, because they will light a fire within you to cook, because cooking's not hard. Like you mentioned, Jess, it is hard if you don't have a very big kitchen, which, let's be honest, people our age, most people live in an apartment or some variation on an apartment, and they don't have a lot of room. It's hard to cook in a small space. I just cooked a Thanksgiving dinner in a small space, and I was more dead at the end of that day than I've ever been doing anything else in my entire life. And I've done manual labor for days on end, and I was exhausted. So I understand the restrictions and the restraints of having a small kitchen, just like everyone else. But the thing about it is, you know, that is the reason I wanted to watch this show when I first heard about it, and that's why I read Anthony Bourdain's book, is because I wanted to, at one point, be a chef. And so this shows the side of the kitchen that we don't get to see very often. And or ever. I mean, I can't think of a lot of shows that, like, go into the back of the house in a sitcom-y version.
Yeah, that's a topic that's, like, visited more so in movies, I think.
Like Chef or
Chef or
was it
Waiting.
Bradley Cooper in a cooking movie with, like, Catherine Zeta-Jones?
Perhaps, I'm not sure.
Perhaps, maybe.
Perhaps.
Ask again later. Yeah, he was. It was called Burnt, where he plays a high-class chef who destroys his career with drug use.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Okay.
I think, like, but there's more, it generally shows about restaurant work, or about, you know, the servers, the waiters and waitresses.
And waiting, waiting is just, it's probably true, right?
Oh, it's absolutely true. Like, waiting is if they're, you know, if I've seen any movies that are restaurant/kitchen based that, you know, equate to my personal experience, is Waiting. And that's, you know, they work at this whatever stupid theme Fridays.
Shenanigans.
Sort of. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, most of that shit happens. And it's, you know, the really, really gross stuff is over exaggerated, I think, in my opinion. I've worked in several chain restaurants, kitchens, and never seen anything quite that bad, but
you've never seen someone take a pube out and put it on top of mashed potatoes?
Right, no, I never saw that. I can't say that it didn't happen, but I never saw it. But, sure. You know, like the character of Ryan Reynolds being the creepy manager hitting on all the hosts. That's, definitely comes from some kind of true stereotype. But Kitchen Confidential is, it's a step above that as far as kitchen life goes and restaurant life goes. Like, these people are making, I don't want to say serious money as in, like, your Michael Simons and stuff like that, but they're making better money than, your wait staff at Fridays.
Well, and you'll see as kind of the show also goes on that, like, this restaurant is like the kind of place that neither one of us could afford to go eat at if we lived in New York. Like, it is.
Oh, yeah.
It is very much haute cuisine. However, funny thing, you mentioned Waiting. John Francis Daley was in Waiting.
Yeah, he totally was.
That movie came out the same year as the show.
Oh, really?
Yep, 2005.
Big year
right?
for kitchen pop culture
weird.
enthusiasts.
Weird, right? But John Francis Daley's character in that show is actually kind of similar to the one in this show. I think this character is a lot more, like, well fleshed out. And obviously, over 13 episodes, he has a pretty interesting character arc throughout the next 13 episodes. But in this first episode, we see him as a Mormon, not Mormon, but he's from Utah. So he's a chef classically trained chef who doesn't want to go back to Utah. And he is like one of my favorite characters in the show because he is the audience. Right, he is the audience analog, right? Because every show kind of always has that, like, audience analog.
Yeah.
And his character is the audience analog because he is a classically trained chef in this world of, like, everybody in the kitchen knows each other, is the sense that you get.
Right, he's, like, from Utah. He's, like, a classically trained chef, but from Utah. So he's not at all taken seriously by the big, where are we, New York? Yeah.
But he's an interesting character, but like you mentioned, I think the other thing about this show that really was kind of a hindrance to it was I think the show came out like 3 years too early. Because if this show had come out in 2008 when, like, celebrity chef culture was really hitting the kind of, like, really hitting pop culture hard, I think this show would have had a lot more of success. Like, because celebrity chefs are a thing now. Like Guy Fieri and Michael Simon and, Chopped. And, Food Network in 2005 was still a cooking channel. And now Food Network has transitioned into, like, every single person on that network is a personality if they have a show.
Right, or it's some kind of
cooking
competition show. Yeah. The Great British Bake Off.
Well, Great British Bake Off is its own thing. I think British Bake Off is, like, the best cooking show there is.
I have never watched a single episode.
It's really good. If you're into that sort of thing, like, it's a cooking show without all the theatrics of the American cooking shows. Like, the British are very stoic, pragmatic people.
Right, they're not like, oh my god, I broke everything and everything's going to hell and I'm never going to be able to finish my... Yeah.
Now, later seasons of the Great British Bake Off kind of start leaning into it, which I know a lot of people, like, with the most recent season of the show, are kind of like, why are you turning this into an American cooking show? Don't do it, please. But, Great British Baking Show, like, stuff like that, like, cooking TV for the longest time was very dry and very, like, straightforward.
Yeah, it was like your Martha Stewarts and Paula Deans and just, like...
And then you have people like Emerald who, like, bring a personality, and then you've got... And look, I know a lot of people don't like him. I find him to be amusing in his own way. Mr. Guy Fieri. But he's like, he's a personality. Like, I have to give him credit for being a personality and getting people to watch what is a traveling, food
circus. It's a traveling food circus.
Look, he's Guy Fieri, and he's rolling out, checking out America's greatest diners, drive-ins, and dives, and he's driving that sick car.
I do appreciate, like, what he does as far as putting those, places on the map. Because, I have definitely, in the past, going on trips, I, like, have looked and seen, okay, what are the, diners, drive-ins, dives, whatever around here that we could go to. And they've always been really good. So, I can't knock his taste, obviously.
Well, he's...
At least at food.
Well, and let's be honest here. Columbus, Ohio is Flavortown. So
yep, it sure is.
That's where he's from, so it's got to be Flavortown. This show, I think, really did come out like 3 years too early. Because this show probably would have had like a fairly long life if it had come out in the initial height of like celebrity chef culture. But at the same time, I think in 2008 you wouldn't have had Bradley Cooper.
No, probably not. I mean, I don't think you would have had probably a few of those people.
Well, definitely not Bradley Cooper.
Not Bradley Cooper. Maybe not even Nicholas Brendan. I mean, he was coming right off of Buffy going into this, so he was still, people still knew him and wanted to see him in things, and then his personal life kind of went south, and I think probably a few years after this show. A few years after this show, I think, is when things started to kind of go bad for him. I might be wrong exactly on the timeline of that, but I wonder how like the effect of this show and it's being canceled had, on what it was on him and his career, because I think I like him in this show, and honestly, I like him as Xander in Buffy. I know you've not watched it, but
I sure have. I was going to say, you let the cat out of the bag. I have never seen a single episode of Buffy.
And, like Xander, he's irritating in the first few seasons, but he has a good arc and he grows on you. But I like Nicholas Brendan. I think that he's a fun actor. I think that he's sort of, like your Matthew Perry type comedic actor for that era. And everybody else on the show is really fun. Like I said, like they all blend really well. And I think that this show could, you're right, I think that if it maybe came out a few years later, and if they could have, Bradley Cooper is really good in it, and he is just a charismatic actor, and that's just, he's going to be, that's just how he is. So it's hard to think of somebody to replace him, but I think that they, it could have been a role that I think somebody else could have filled. It didn't necessarily have to be Bradley Cooper.
I completely agree. I mean, like you said, though, like Bradley Cooper is just kind of, he's such a charismatic actor, right? Like he
kind of plays that in the same, especially in his early career, is sort of the same type of guy. And then he's doing it here. He's doing it in The Hangover.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because like The Hangover is like, Wedding Crashers was one thing. The Hangover was really like, that was it. Like that's where he was really like, that's where he got. That's where that's what they saw him for Guardians of the Galaxy from, was The Hangover. I mean, so. And now he's Rocket Raccoon. I mean, fuck, you're set for life. You're in the MCU as a character who's not a villain. You're set for life. So, but
yep.
I do think that the show, like you said, as good as Bradley Cooper is, I think the thing that I like about the show is the interplay between the other characters, and that's almost better than, like everyone always says, well, this, is it as good as the sum of its parts? And I think it is. Like, I think that the show really does benefit from all of these people being really well cast, from Bonnie Somerville's character and Jamie King's character. Like, all these characters at the end of the 13 episodes are going to be drastically different, too. Which is the interesting thing. And the other thing that I do appreciate mid-2000s is, I know it goes to it, there's a couple episodes that aren't great about kind of the comedy, but the comedy also doesn't feel low-hanging. I mean, you have a character who's clearly gay in Cameron's character, played by Sam Pancake, but like they don't play it up for like, oh, he's gay, like for laughs or anything. Yeah, he is a character who is gay. Yeah, which is nice, and like I appreciate that in this show, that they don't go for those low-hanging fruit. Him being gay isn't the character. Yeah. Yeah. So. Well, and that's like, I don't know. Like I said before, it feels strange that it's a Fox show in 2005. I mean, what other shows were on the Fox network in 2005, like in this block? Because it just seems, I don't know, the story structure, the ensemble cast, it just seems bigger than that network, a network television show for that time. Right. I agree. Well, and here's the crazy thing, like the craziest thing about all of this, Fox right now only has one live action comedy show on the air. Really? Mm-hmm. I guess that's true. I mean, it would be, what, The Simpsons? Last Man Standing. Well, yeah, oh God. But I'm just saying, like, the other shows on there are the... Right, The Simpsons, Family Guy, Bob's Burgers. But like live action actors, not voice actors, is just Last Man Standing. It's pretty crazy, right? A show that they brought back from the dead. Yes, because we need that. Because why? I mean, I know why. I mean, what was on at this time was like Malcolm in the Middle was on. It was going to end. It was ending a year after this show was on. I'm trying to think what else. That 70s show was still on.
Oh yeah.
So there was that. I mean, there's things that like are well known as like widely.
But they're all sitcoms, pretty much.
Right. And this is
Or like a loosely based.
Right. This is considered a sitcom.
I don't know. It's more of a dramedy, I think.
Yeah, I would agree. Like, I don't consider this a sitcom. Wikipedia does. That's fine. Whatever.
I mean, we haven't. It's. I mean, we haven't got. You've seen it obviously multiple times. I have yet to watch other episodes of the show. But I mean, if we're dealing with somebody who's a recovering addict, and I assume that we're going to get more of that later on in the show, and that just doesn't scream sitcom to me.
Kind of. I mean, it never really takes that turn into drama.
Right.
It is played like that recovering thing. I don't remember exactly how much farther into the show it goes, but they start focusing on other things and like other kind of the scenarios that they have in the show are, aside from one or two episodes that I don't like, I think are really interesting and unique and not just like that. And that's kind of where I would say, yeah, it's kind of a sitcom because it does kind of become situational stuff going on. But like at the same time, yeah, like this first episode, like the ending is pretty bittersweet. Like the ending is like,
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, he's like, oh, and he got the job and it's successful, but his girlfriend also leaves due to a misunderstanding.
Right, and due to a misunderstanding and due to what I would assume, I don't know how much backstory and everything we get, I mean, in just these few 13 episodes, but I'm sure that these are patterns that he fell into in the past and that she's dealt with before, so it's just,
But, I mean, who doesn't want to work in a restaurant like that?
Yeah, well, I mean, not me.
Ninja Pizza Explosion. With, I mean, that opening scene, I think, is so well done. And, like, the intro of the show, how it's just like boom, 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 and now I'm here. I think again, like, the people working on this show clearly knew what they were doing.
Mm-hmm. Well, wasn't Anthony Bourdain a writer on the show as well?
No.
Or like no?
Nope. I looked and 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 I could find nothing of Anthony Bourdain talking about the show. Which isn't surprising because, like, it's just his name and, like, some stuff from the book. But,
right.
Like, if you stripped everything out of this book, out of the show, like Bourdain, like, you changed his last name to something else, like, you could be like, oh, it's inspired by things from stuff like Kitchen Confidential.
Right.
So, and I don't know if that, like, wherever. I don't know if that hurt the show either, in my opinion.
People were, like, thinking that they were, I mean, did anybody... I don't know how popular Anthony Bourdain was in 2005.
So that's the thing, like, Anthony Bourdain, so the book came out in 2000, so this is coming out 5 years after. Anthony Bourdain's No Reservations started in July of 2005.
Oh, wow.
So this is
so he was, like, really unknown at that. Well, I mean, not really unknown, but, like, to mainstream audiences, probably not that.
Right. And, like,
not a name everybody knows.
Right.
Like,
and he had the Cooks Tour, which was his show on Food Network that ran for a year. But it's not as well known as No Reservations. I mean, No Reservations put him on the map as, like, a known person in the food world. And because of how popular the book was and the show was, that's why they made the sitcom. So.
Interesting.
But yeah, like, I couldn't find him talking about the show, which is kind of weird because, like, it's based off his life, quotation mark.
Right. And yeah, essentially, I guess we really specified the first, the setup here for the show. It's essentially Bradley Cooper's character, Jack Bourdain?
Jack Bourdain.
Yes, Jack Bourdain. Like you said, recovering addict, gets a chance to work at this, like, basically opened Frank Langella's brand new fancy pants restaurant.
Reopen it because he strangled the old chef.
Right, because Frank, yes. We're getting into some, like, heavy duty, abusive kitchen work here.
Yeah.
And he brings back the team that we've already mentioned, and a major food critic is coming into the restaurant at the time, and he's trying to do everything he can to, like, make everything go as smoothly as possible. Shit goes wrong, but he still manages to win over everybody and the chef and the food critic and gets to open up this restaurant and keep working on it. But yeah, he loses his girlfriend in the process due to just some of the,
kind
basically
of happenstance problems.
Yeah, happenstance problems, of kitchen life and of kitchen work for him.
One of the characters gets their finger cut off.
And it's I appreciated the sort of frenzied energy that I think probably the cinematography brought to this episode, because like you said, the first sequence within the restaurant, he's working at his girlfriend's, run-of-the-mill whatever restaurant where it's just like, make the food how I tell you and put it on the plate. It doesn't matter. People don't care about presentation here. He can't get over that because he, is a true chef and has that passion and just can't fight himself to just make slop just because that's what people want.
Rigatoni is a noble pasta.
Yes.
Drowning it like a kitten in a bathtub, as he says.
And I liked that, when you're working in a kitchen, it's just constant chaos. It's just constant chaos and constant movement and constant, just everything is loud and hot and wet usually, or covered in sauce or just whatever. It's a hectic place to be, and I thought that this show really captured that energy really well. I think a lot of it had to do with how it was shot and how just everybody moved in the kitchen, how everybody moved with each other. It was a really well blocked out show, I think, just as far as hitting all those notes, and just it worked really well.
The frenetic pace of the show does work really well. You're 100% right. Like it I've never worked in a kitchen, you have, but I believe you implicitly that even though you didn't work in some, Michael Simon's kitchen, like there is that, what I perceive to be frenetic pace necessary to work in an environment like that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Which, like, I had people over at my house on Thanksgiving, like non-family members, and I was like running around the kitchen, and it's a tiny kitchen, and my friend's like, slow down, calm down. I'm like, you don't understand. Like, these things are gonna burn. Like, then that's like, they make a point of showing that in the show, like, you didn't do it right, fuck you, start over. Like, just, you gotta be able to go. And like you said, like, the cinematography, and that is a constant throughout the show. It kind of slows down in some of the episodes where they get outside of the kitchen, but the thing I do appreciate about this show, and it will continue through the rest of the show, is it stays 70% in the kitchen, which is also interesting, because a lot of these shows, like, the profession is just ancillary to everything else that's going on.
Right, to the relationship drama or, whatever else drama. But yeah, I like that. I like that it's like profession forward, profession first mentality character, where he's going to be like, yeah, he's sort of a dick sometimes, but you kind of have to be when you're that invested in what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I mean, look, like, I don't know. I can't say that I can go so far and say that, I don't know, maybe cooking. I guess cooking is an art in itself. It definitely is. I mean, if you look at...
If you're doing the kind of cooking that these people are doing.
Yes, exactly. If you're slaving over that kind of... even like cooking... Look at Hannibal. That's a great show. That's a great show for, food enthusiasts, and that I don't mean that it, for cannibals around, but...
Jose Andres was the food design, advisor for the show, and he is a world-renowned chef, so...
Right. That food is gorgeous. That food is art. Like, cooking with the clay and everything, that is a process and a craft in itself. And, yeah, if you want to achieve that level of perfection in your food or your painting or your writing or your whatever, you're going to be a dick about it sometimes, because that's the only way you can get shit done.
Exactly. No, you're 100% right. And again, that's the thing about Bradley Cooper being cast that works so well, is that Bradley Cooper never just plays like, oh, the super nice guy. He always plays like that, like, kind of lovable dickhead.
Right. Where he's like, yeah, I'm cute and I'm nice sometimes, but I'm going to still, like, rip you a new one if I feel the need to.
And if he does the dickhead all the way, it's his character in Wedding Crashers, where he's just like a boisterous, over-the-top, completely obnoxious dickhead. So, but again, I'm just glad this first episode in the bag that you liked it. Because I was worried because, again, like we were talking about before we started recording, like comedy is so subjective.
Right.
It really
And no, this is definitely my type of comedy. I like the snarky, smart-ass, humor. Like I told you earlier in text, as long as people aren't, screaming like idiots for 45 minutes straight or reciting the same old shit over and over again.
Get Her Done is not funny.
Oh, God.
Here's Your Sign's not funny. Ron Tater Salad White is not funny. Jeff Foxworthy, You Might Be a Redneck's not funny. I mean, I could keep going. I mean,
Right.
comedians.
I think you ran out of that group.
Comedians with catchphrases is not funny.
No, it's not.
Thankfully, most of them are gone. They're not gone. They're just gone from my life. They're gone from my life. I mean, there was a time where I liked that kind of comedy, I won't deny, but like, boy, I just look back on that, I'm just like you said, like the kind of sitcoms like Last Man Standing, where it's just like really dumb shit just bugs the fuck out of me. Like stuff like that, like stuff that I would say Fox is known for. Like in my mind, Fox is known for recently. I mean, we're not talking Fox of the early 90s where it was like Married with Children, which, I mean, that show had, mileage may vary on Married with Children, but
Married with Children was at least like a satire. Like
Married with Children like kind of broke its own mold of like, it's not the nuclear family. It's like these people are all fucking terrible and like.
Right, and this is how like a lot of families really are, and maybe not to this exaggerated degree, but most people aren't perfect. And yeah, I mean, I think that Fox is generally, it's low-hanging fruit for the most part. It's just it's formulaic stuff. They know what audience they have, and they know how to keep them, and they just churn out that same stuff usually. And that's what I think definitely. Even if baseball hadn't been a factor, I wouldn't see this show lasting more than a couple seasons on Fox at this time.
Arrested Development didn't, and it was on at the same time this show was.
Right, exactly. And I mean,
I don't like Arrested Development.
I've never watched Arrested Development, so
it's one of those things where like I have a lot of friends from college that watch it every year and think it is like the funniest shit known to man, and I'm just like, guys, like it's funny, but have you seen the recent stuff where it completely just undoes any goodwill that the show had? Oh, you haven't? Well, okay, it still exists. You can't pretend it doesn't. But I mean, I know people that love that show, and that show was supposed to be on more this year. I guess it never aired, or it did. I don't know.
On Netflix? I don't know.
Yeah, who cares? I don't.
I don't either. I don't. I think it's a show that probably really only is okay and exists in its own time.
Yeah,
but now it just wouldn't hold up, and I would get no enjoyment from it.
Well, that's like you said, that's the thing, like time and place, like Married with Children's kind of the same, like time and place. This was really like a really interesting, funny, biting satire. And now it's like, I want more from my comedy.
Right.
So I think that's, and the same with Arrested Development. And like, that's kind of the weird thing though, wrapping this up, like that's the weird thing about Kitchen Confidential is like, it still holds up.
Well, I mean, it's because it's a profession that a lot of people know and a lot of people are familiar with, even if it's not to that like degree. And I think it's something that's universally relatable to people. Even if you've not worked in a kitchen, most people have had jobs where, it's that constant motion, working with this same group of people that you may or may not get along with generally, but you have to work with them. And everybody has their own baggage and their own problems that they bring to work with them every day. And you all manage to get through it somehow. And I think that this show kind of taps into that really well.
Well, and like you said, even if you've never had that kind of job, you have eaten in a restaurant. Even if it's not this kind of restaurant, like you've eaten in a restaurant and maybe you've never wondered what happens in the back of the house. But I'm not sure how exaggerated some of this stuff is, but there has to be some truth to it because, again, Anthony Bourdain, some of the stuff in the show comes straight out of his book.
Yeah, I mean, I can't see this show being all that exaggerated, quite honestly. I mean, like, the blood, obviously, squirting out of his hand when he chops his fingertip off is a bit ridiculous, but
Well, yeah, but I mean, come on. There's got to be some exaggeration. It is TV,
right.
All right, Jess. So we've got the first episode of Kitchen Confidential in the bag. What are we going to be talking about on the next episode?
On the next episode, we are going to tackle the next 4 episodes of Kitchen Confidential, and I'm looking forward to it. I guess we already know why it was canceled, so we're not going to really have to speculate too much on that, but I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm excited to see more of these characters. I like all of them, and I hope that we get to see most of them continue on their way. I know sometimes these shows have Sometimes these shows have a tendency to like drop 2 or 3 characters halfway through the season.
Well, the thing I will tell you is the John Cho character and the Frank Langella character are kind of the ones that like pop in and out.
Right.
John Cho's character, I don't know why, but for some reason, like he seems to be the one that like kind of just some episodes he's just not there. But the next 4 episodes, Aftermath, Dinner Date with Death, French Fight, and You Win, You Lose, I Win. French Fight is, I think, my least favorite episode of the show. It's not great. There's a lot of things in it that just I'm like, I don't even know why you did this then. You Lose, I Win introduces one of the more important characters of the show who has a pretty interesting arc with Bradley Cooper's character, and Dinner Date with Death is, I think it's just an interesting like idea, and the next episode actually directly deals with stuff that happened in this episode. So, which,
cool.
I mean, again, like you said, it has a through line, which is weird for a comedy.
Yeah, exactly.
So until that next episode, which will be after the first of the new year, so maybe in January of 2020.
Oh wow.
Where can people find you, Jess?
You can find me on Twitter at writer Jess Byard. That's WRITER, Jess Byard. And you can find me on many episodes of your other podcast, Chris, the Culture Cast. We are getting ready to kick off David Lynch December, and I'm super excited.
Yeah, David Lynch December is it's going to be finishing out the rest of his filmography. So I'm going to get to watch Mulholland Drive finally. So, and you're finally going to watch Dune. So.
Yes, finally, after all these years.
All the build up, and I guarantee you, it is not going to disappoint. It is wild. But those episodes will already be up by the time this comes out, so go check those out over at, like just mentioned, the Culture Cast. I am on Twitter at casualty_Chris. I find it funny, Jess, that I wish your name on Twitter was writer Jess Byard, RIGHTER. Because you're like,
I'm just the writer of things.
WRITER. I'm just like, wouldn't it be weird if it was not that? And it was something.
Or if it was RIDER.
Writer, yeah.
RYDER.
She rides a lot of horses, folks. Yeah. Just be so like, rider. You mean like horses or like riding of wrongs? No, rider, like
Motorcycles.
Rider of motorcycles. I am on Twitter at casualty_Chris. The podcast is on Twitter at One Season Show. That's where you can go and tell us how we're doing. You can also do it on iTunes. We're on Spotify, Google Music, all podcatchers, any platform. Find us there, oneseasonshow.com as well. We are part of the We Made This Network. Jess did an episode on the Pick a Disc podcast last month.
I did. On the episode on Tame the Impala's Currents album.
Yeah. And it's a good episode. I listened to it while I was on the plane going home. It was good.
Tame the Impala they did. 6-minute single. It's great.
6-minute single, which for them, not surprising.
No, not at all. My favorite.
And as always, big thanks to Who's Lovin' Me from Curtain Peepers. That's the music for the One Season Show. And we'll catch you on the next episode.